Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I thought that I'd explain or teach or whatever what the BSL structure is. However, before I get into that, I would like to say that a few things actually. I'd like to say sorry I've been MIA for like a month. I just didn't know what to post or do, and I've moved rooms, if you couldn't tell by the scenery change, you know. And I'm watching Merlin, I don't know if you can see. The last thing is about this video. So I am not saying that there is anything wrong with SSE, Science Supported English. I'm just explaining the British Sign Language structure, which is different from SSE. SSE isn't a language, whereas BSL is a language. SSE is just signs that support the English structure. BSL is its whole other language, much like French, German, Spanish, Mandarin, anything is its own language. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. So first of all, with the BSL structure, you don't use a bunch of words that you use in the English structure, such as like the connective words, the little words like and, but, it, is, if, all those kind of words you don't use. If I think of anything more, because I always am really bad at thinking of them, I'll put them around here somewhere if I don't. But yes, the connective words and the little words, that they do not exist in BSL. You just don't sign them. Whereas, let's compare it to SSE, whereas in SSE, yes, you sign them, there are signs for them, but that is SSE, that is a different thing. BSL, don't sign them, simple as. The other thing is, with BSL, the structure is the question always goes last, and you always have the topic first. So if I was going to ask, what colour is your car? I would do car, colour, what? Because the topic would explain what you're going to talk about, the colour would be what you want the answer for, and the question last, so you know what the question is. Yeah, so that's the structure. You'll always have the topic first, and the question last. That is something that you are taught right from the beginning in level 1. When I did my level 1, they gave me sheets with English sentences, and I had to put them into British sentences, like British Sign Language sentences in their grammatical structure. So writing it down might help if you want to do that. Maybe in another video, or I can put some resources of English sentence, and you have to get them into it if you want to improve your British Sign Language structure. What else? I'm like kind of bad with figuring out what I'm supposed to say with the structure, because usually I have to sort of see something and realise that it's not the British structure, and then I will then understand and explain it myself, but because I haven't seen anything, it's like confusing me. So sorry if there is a jump cut or a lighting change. I had to pause the video for a second. So as I was saying, things to do with like the BSL structure. In BSL, when you are interpreting or translating or whatever you're doing, being a communication support worker, you don't translate the words said exactly, you translate the meaning. So if a word like, it's easier to explain this in song concept, so how I explained it to someone the other day is, if someone says falling in love, instead of signing the words falling in love, you wouldn't sign that, you would use which is a sign for falling in love, like you're wanting someone, you're lusting after someone, and that is a sign that you would use rather than signing that phrase, falling in love, because that's the meaning, it means. And falling, if you were to sign falling, in your head you would imagine someone literally falling off a cliff or a roof, or falling onto something, into something, off of something, not an emotional meaning. So if you would translate the words, the message wouldn't convey as how it's supposed to, therefore the person may not understand what is actually meaning, or what is actually being said. It might completely throw off the topic in their understanding of what's going on, which is why it's important to translate the meaning. I'm not saying that in SSC you can't translate the meaning, just you typically don't tend to. You can sort of talk in sign, where you can sort of translate the meaning, but you're signing in SSC structure. And you, with SSC and BSL mixed, it's really confusing. I won't get into that, but anyways, yeah. So that's probably the easiest way to explain that you have to translate the meaning rather than the words, so that it makes sense. Whereas we grow up with English, spoken English, picking up things that are around us and then understanding the meaning as we grow up. Deaf people don't typically tend to have that unless they grow up in a deaf environment, a strong deaf environment, because quite often they miss out on words, and they miss out on picking up the jokes and understanding the words and hearing words are said in the hearing world. So if you were to sign the hearing way, then it might confuse a deaf person. Like I said at the beginning of the video, there's nothing, again, I don't have anything against SSC. SSC is fine. If you want to sign SSC, that's great, good for you. I'm just explaining the differences and what it is and stuff like that, so yeah. And also, I can't remember if at the very beginning of the video when I was explaining what signs you do and don't use. In is one of them. You don't use in, you don't use out. There are different ways or something. So you could say sort of different ways of explaining it or signing it. You would sign a multi-channel sign, which means that you don't use your lip pattern, you use your facial expression and a sign. So if I were to say something tasted delicious, I wouldn't say delicious, because no, you wouldn't say that, you go because it conveys the meaning more. So if something is disgusting, you'd pull up bleh, bleh. Even there's only a very few signs that you would say the words for, things like topics, signs that have more than one meaning. So there's 100 strange Russian boys. Obviously that's 4 different signs, 4 different meanings, so obviously you would have to use your lip pattern in order to explain it. It's kind of like the 2, 2 and 2, but you can't explain it unless, whereas lip pattern you can explain it, that's all really. But there is a lot of facial expressions which is really important to use in BSL, because without them you would just be a blank confession. So the way that it got explained to me that is, in English, in spoken language, not just in English, in any language, in spoken language, you have different tones of voices. So if like you're really excited, you go like high pitched and excited and things, but if you're really sort of sad, you go low pitched and quiet and things like that. But obviously if you're using your hands to talk, you don't have that pitch, and so your facial expressions, your body language, that is what is the tone of the voice. It's the same thing, just different ways of doing it. Yeah, so I think that's quite important to know. If I've missed anything out, please let me know. If you want another video where I could probably make some more notes and figure more stuff out, but I'm pretty sure that I covered the most important parts in this video. But if you would like some other videos, let me know what songs you want me to sign, what signs you want me to teach, or videos you want me to do. Please let me know in the comments below. But yeah, I think that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it. I don't know what's going on with me, but yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it, and yeah, let me know what you want.